Hey everybody, Lucas Haneman here. Welcome to this week's episode of Guitar Tone Tuesday, which is all about the Gretsch Duo Jet. The Gretsch Duo Jet was created in the year 1953 when Fred Gretsch Jr. reluctantly decided to venture into the world of solid body or at least semi-solid body guitars. More on that in a second. Well, what was happening at that time in the guitar market? Well, Leo Fender created what we now know as the Telecaster in 1950. But first things first, he called that guitar the Broadcaster when it was initially released. Fred Gretsch did not like that very much because he had a drum set called the Broadcaster, albeit with a different spelling. So perhaps this put a bad taste in his mouth. 1952, Ted McCarthy, along with the people at Gibson, was creating the Les Paul. And Fred Gretsch said to Ted, allegedly, well, anybody with a pin router can create an electric guitar. Anybody with a bandsaw and a pin router can create an electric guitar. So he was still bitter, I guess, about the Broadcaster thing. We don't really know exactly what it was. But I guess, the electric guitar was a brand new thing. The solid body electric guitar was a brand new thing, I should say, at that time. But in 1953, these guitars came out. And of course, visually, they're a little bit like a Les Paul, albeit with a cool, sparkly Gretsch finish, right? Scale length, 24.6, so shorter than the Les Paul. In terms of the controls, we have 2 volumes, 1 tone, and a master volume. And that master volume is very cool because you can roll down that master volume without losing high end. And that's because it has a treble bleed circuit. So that's very, very innovative and very cool. And we've got 1 tone control for all pickups. So whether I'm on the neck or the bridge, that tone control applies. And of course, again, this volume, neck pickup, this volume, bridge pickup. So looks a bit like a Les Paul, but sounds nothing like a Les Paul, and part of that is the pickups. Eventually, these guitars came to have Filtertron pickups in them, and the Filtertron pickups are amazingly dynamic pickups. They are humbuckers, and they're true humbuckers. They do not make any noise whatsoever, and they've got a lot of top end. Now, these pickups on this guitar, this is an import version of the Duo Jet. Okay, this is from Gretsch's Electromatic series, which came about in the late 90s. These guitars are made in Korea, and whenever guitars are made overseas, we have to cut the cost somehow, right? These pickups are Broadtron pickups, and this is how I really think, Gretsch has that. This is how they're able to sell this guitar at this price point. Okay, not gonna disrespect these pickups, but they certainly are not my cup of tea. And the reason why is, if I go to this neck pickup, listen to this. If I dig in, there's something weird going on there. That it sounds like the amp's exploding if I dig in too hard. Okay, Otherwise, they sound a little bit Filtertron-ish. But I've experienced lots of Filtertrons, and these ain't the real thing, unfortunately. But that aside, I mean, at the price point that this guitar is at, it is very, very good. And you can easily replace those pickups for a decent price with, the Gretsch Filtertrons, which I love. I've got them in one of my tellies. They're great. Or you could go all the way up for TV Jones and still save a ton of money when compared to the, the Japanese version of this guitar. So let's hear some sounds, okay? Here's the neck pickup all by itself. Nice and clear. Here's both pickups together. And if I go to the bridge pickup, I'm going to put my pick down for a second. Let's hear some fingerstyle playing. So it still does that Chet Atkins thing really well, even though it's a solid body guitar. But very versatile guitar, and I'll show you that in a second with the overdrive as well. We're going to talk about some iconic players of this guitar, okay? By the way, I am plugged into a Fender Princeton non-reverb from the year 1962, but if you hear reverb, it's from my Strymon Flint. I got some spring reverb there. As authentic to an amp sound as I can get from that pedal, which I think is pretty close. Okay, let's turn on some overdrive from the Kingsley Minstrel overdrive pedal, and let's talk about electric guitar players more in the rock vein who use this guitar. There's a, not really rip-off of an AC/DC song, but something kind of played in that vein. Malcolm Young, man. Everyone thinks that the Gibson SG is the sound of the rhythm guitar of SG. That's, of AC/DC, sorry. But that's Angus Young, playing his lead guitar. Malcolm Young, who was the backbone, the rhythm guitar player that we think of. All that stuff. He was playing a duo jet much like this. If I go to both pickups together and roll back my volumes just a little bit, check this out, guys. Very different style of playing. That is a little bit, anyways, of a Bo Diddley style thing. And Bo Diddley, famous blues musician, really loved these duo jet guitars. And finally, last but not least, of course, there's the legendary Harrison from the Beatles famously played a duo jet, his 1957 duo jet, on the Ed Sullivan TV show when the Beatles took over the world in 1964. Pretty amazing stuff. So yeah, I mean, what a range of players. And of course, we can't forget about Pete Townsend from The Who. I also loved Filtertron pickups and Gretsch guitars in general. Neil Young also. I mean, there's so many great players out there who played guitars either exactly like this or much like this. So yeah, again, we got a chambered mahogany body, okay, a laminated maple top, a mahogany neck, in this case with not rosewood fingerboard, as I say, black walnut, so that's different. And I think a less intense headstock angle when compared to like a Gibson Les Paul. So a very comfortable guitar, very unique. So please do let me know in the comment section below. Are you a big fan of the Gretsch Duo Jet, be it the import version or, you know, the more expensive ones? Let me know, are you a fan of these guitars? And certainly they are kind of halfway in between the Gibson and the Fender world. There's something unique, and I think you are unique if you play a guitar like this. It's a nice blank canvas. That's about it for this week. We will see you guys and girls again next Tuesday.